What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know about the 3 types of days that you can use to maintain a healthy balance while still striving to be the best in the world at what you do? Well, I have good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you exactly how to do this. It's normally $45, but since you're a loyal listener to the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time.
You're listening to the Inner Strength Show. If you want to step into your greatness, you've come to the right place. Here is your host, the human strength expert, Kyle Newell.
What's up, everybody? It's Kyle from Unlocking Your Inner Strength and unlockingyourinnerstrength.com. Once again, thank you to everybody that has been leaving positive reviews on the podcast and who has been spreading the word with their friends and all the great support. Today is a special day because it's episode number 52. That means for the past year, I've been hitting you with an episode every single week and I have not missed. So I'm happy about that. And I plan to keep going for many more years. And I know this will change. The message will change over time, maybe the audience, but it's consistency. You got to keep showing up. Today, we're going to talk about haters. I've had that request from a few people. I guess they either knew or assumed that I've dealt with a lot of haters. And I have. When you put yourself out there and you put your thoughts out there as frequently as I do, you're going to attract them. So we're going to go over how to deal with them and how to make them so they're insignificant in your life. But before we do that, I promised you that I would tell you the story of the fish hook in the eye. In 2002, it was the summer before my senior year of college. I had just gotten a cell phone, and it was a big kind of blocky cell phone like Zach Morris used to have in Saved by the Bell. And that's significant. You'll see why in a minute. Anyhow, I was going fishing at a pond here in Hillsborough, Northridge Pond, and one of my best friends that we called the King had called me and said, "Hey, I'll meet you over there. I'm not going to fish, but we'll go out to eat afterwards." So I said, okay. So I was there about 30 minutes by myself before he shows up. So we're BSing. I'm throwing a few more lines in, throwing a few more casts in. And he's standing about 45 degrees over my left shoulder, probably 8 to 10 feet behind me. I said, one more. Let me get one more. Now, I'm using a lure. It was a heavy lure. Had a tri-hook on it, so that's 3 hooks. And I go to cast it sideways, kind of fling it out there, and my reel locks up. Now, when you lock a reel up, the line can't go any further. So the way the momentum was going, this thing goes out. I'm watching it in slow motion, comes back around, and bam! It hits the King literally in the eye. And he goes down, covers his face. My eye. And I'm like, oh my God, I just put a fish hook into my best friend's eye. He's going to be blind. I can't, I'm going crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. And he has his head covered, his eye covered, and all you see is the fishing line coming out from his eye. Now, you can't see the fish hook. So I'm like, I'm kind of panicking. He's yelling, "You idiot, put the fishing line down, put the fishing pole down, put it down. So I come to my senses, I put it down, I cut the line. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to call my brother, Sugar Shane, and tell him he's got to come see what happened. And King's saying, "You're an idiot." He said, call 911, call 911. So I'm trying to get people to come look because I think it's just amazing and bizarre. And he wanted to get to the hospital. So I call 911. So that's where the cell phone comes in. If this was a week before, I wouldn't have had a cell phone, and I don't know what we would have done. So the police show up. The cop says, he goes, "I've never seen anything like this before. I don't even know what to do, really." So he says, "Hang tight to the King." The King's still covering his eye. I'm thinking, I'm starting to feel really guilty that I just took the vision out of his one eye. Ambulance shows up. Ambulance says there's nothing we can do. So they wrap his head like a mummy, the eye, and they go around his head. And the ambulance says, "Look, we got to take him to Robert Wood Johnson. You have to follow us there. But you also have to call his mother and father and let them know what happened." Now, keep in mind, I had never met the King's mom to this point because his parents were divorced. So I dealt with his dad, and his dad was an intimidating man. Thank God when I called both of them, they didn't pick up. I was 20 years old at that point, and that was a tough phone call to make, even though I didn't have to speak to them. So the ambulance is speeding down Amwell Road, which is one of the local roads over here in town that goes into New Brunswick, where Rutgers is located. That's where Robert Wood Johnson is. And I lose them. So I get there, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes later. I run into the emergency room. I said, where, they said, you're the guy with the fish hook? I said, yeah. And they said, he's back that way. So I go back there. There's about 6 or 7 doctors surrounding him, and he's laying on a table, a bed, a hospital bed. And they're trying to determine how the hell to get this thing out of his eye. Amazingly, the hook went through his eyelid and straight down. Did not touch or pierce the actual eyeball. But you couldn't see that because the hook was through his eyelid and down. Now, the problem is they couldn't just pull it out because it has a barb on the end like an arrow. So they're all debating, what do we do? Make sure we don't permanently damage his tear duct or anything along those lines, or his eye. So they decide they're going to cut the hook and grab it with the tweezer, which they did successfully. How lucky am I that I did not permanently blind him? Now King's a big guy. He's probably 300 pounds or so, and I like to eat myself. So the doctors say, we want to run some MRIs, though, just to make sure there's no permanent eye damage. And we said, well, how long is that going to be? They said, you can be here probably another 3 or 4 hours. So we look at each other, and I said, look, I'm starving. You're starving. I'll pay for dinner if we could skip the MRI. So we skipped the MRI, went out to eat to my dad's steakhouse, and that was that. So he still has the fish hook in a specimen jar at home. And somewhere he has a picture that the police officer took, that the police officer actually mailed to him. That was before, again, cell phones were really popular. So that's the story of the King and the fish hook. Today, let me discuss, as I was saying, what a hater is. A hater is somebody that's going to hate on you no matter what you do. And in their eyes, you can do no right. They're a nuisance. They're a gnat that flies around you. And they'll strike and they'll kind of leave you saying, what? What did I do to deserve this? Last year, I was running the Ripped Ads ad contest on Facebook. And this troll, which is another word for a hater, a troll is somebody online, though. And you'll see a lot of trolls. If you read anybody that's it's got a lot of followers or a lot of comments, you'll see trolls pop up in there. And this guy starts posting. He tries to take over the thread. All these dads were psyched. They're posting, I want to do it. I'm going to fill out the application. They're going on and so forth. And this guy says, how are you going to get somebody ripped in 6 weeks? This is a bunch of BS, blah, blah, blah. So I engaged him. I made a mistake, and I engaged him with one sentence, something along the lines of, look, it's not really getting ripped. Here's before and afters. We're on the path to getting ripped. But ripped is more, it's not just a physical thing. It's mentally, it's emotionally, spiritually. Kind of making yourself like steel. And then he posted something smart again, being a wise ass. And I started typing. I said, you know what? No. I erased what I was typing, and I blocked him. And that was that. Because a hater, many times, when you engage them, that's it. That's what they want. That's what trolls want. So what I'm going to teach you here is how you deal with a hater. And this helps because it'll help you, I should say, because I know a lot about the human brain. And I've talked to you a lot about mind mapping and neuroscience. So you have to understand the mindset of a hater. They're emotional. Now remember, with the brain, emotions and logic are opposite. They're opposing. They don't go together. So knowing that haters are emotional, if you are going to engage them, which I don't recommend you do, you have to speak to them in their language, which is rhetoric or emotion. Just like dealing with social justice warriors, which I'll talk to because they're a form of a hater. So you have to deal with them in their language, but you also have to realize that if emotion is high, logic goes out the window. So a lot of the stuff they're going to say is not going to make sense to you. And that's why people are so taken aback when they get attacked by a hater. It's because you're in a logical or linear state of mind, and this emotional bomb is just dropped on you. I realize, too, that haters are usually envious of something, whether it's your position or the group that you're in or your success or anything along those lines. A hater is envious. They're jealous. And envious is very low. If you look at Hawkins' scale of consciousness, look up David Hawkins' scale of consciousness. Envy and jealousy, anger, these are all below the levels of 200, which is kind of normal human function. It goes up to 1,000, which is pure bliss and love, like Jesus and Buddha. But envy is very low. It's a negative emotion. What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know about the 3 types of days that you can use to maintain a healthy balance while still striving to be the best in the world at what you do? Well, I have good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you exactly how to do this. It's normally $45, but since you're a loyal listener to the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time. Another thing you want to know about the mindset of a hater is usually we see in others the bad qualities that most bother ourself about a quality that we have. So if somebody's, let's say I'm mad because somebody always shows up late. Now that probably really gets under my skin because I know that's an issue for me. Not that it's an issue for me, but you get my point. So you're kind of a mirror unto their worst quality. And for some reason that really agitates them. So how do you deal with a hater? Now, there's part of your brain that deals with physical pain is also the same part of the brain that deals with emotional pain. And there are scans and studies that show that when you ignore somebody, you light that part of the brain up. That's why I told you I highly recommend not to engage a hater. It's a lose-lose situation. And you can win when you ignore them. Like when that Facebook troll was posting about our ripped ad stuff, like I said, I made a mistake about commenting once, and then I got back to my logical brain and said, nope, erase, don't engage. And that will drive a hater insane. Their head will explode. They want you to engage them because they feel like this is their pulpit and this is how they can get attention. So haters crave attention. Haters crave attention. Usually they're going to either rat you out, as happened to one of my good friends, to a superior because they're jealous of the accolades or the attention you're getting and they want it. Or nobody will listen to them, so they just say outlandish stuff and they always take the opposing point of view. Self-talk. This is a great way to deal with haters. 2 things. Number 1, for you to realize, because you can control your thoughts if you're logical and not emotional. You can't control your thoughts when you're emotional. Keep that in mind. But realize that what other people think of you is none of your opinion. Let me say that again. What other people think of you is none of your opinion. Don't worry about what other people think of you. That will only slow you down. And the second thing, which is kind of a jab at them, and I've actually said this to people flat out when they get smart with me, is it's a good thing your opinion doesn't matter to me. Bam, hits them in the face. Sucker punch to the face. So those are 2 things you can use. What other people think of you is none of your opinion, and their opinion doesn't matter to you. And it's a good thing. And think of the rope. And now the brain likes to grasp concepts in visualization form. Visual, okay? So when there's a hater, just picture the rope, and you can use this with any tension in your life, and they're pulling on it, and you get caught up, and you start pulling on it. All you have to do is let go of your end of the rope. If you let go of your end of the rope, there can be no tension. Now, again, if you Google Hawkins' scale of consciousness, the higher level emotions always win out. How do you think Gandhi took down the whole British Empire without violence or without a weapon? He did it through peace and love. They were using violence and aggression. So let go of the rope. Now, here's some truths about haters. You need to examine, what can you do? Is there any truth to what they're saying? Is there any truth to what they're saying? And sometimes there is, and that's okay because it's time to go to work on those and bring up your weaknesses. I look at any criticism that I get. I don't care who it comes from, and I say, is there truth to that? Maybe I don't like the person, but if there's truth to it, let's work on getting it better. And again, if you're emotional about it, you're not going to take that stance. Step back, realize that their opinion doesn't matter to you in the end, and think if there's any truth to it. Now, haters are kind of like social justice warriors. I already touched on this, but it's important. You have to speak to social justice warriors in their language, which is rhetoric. They don't get logic because you'll see some of these arguments going back and forth, and it's like, well, how do they even think this way? And you bring up logical points, and they want to keep bringing it back to the level of emotion, the older part of the brain. They're always out to make a stance for social justice. Again, they're just a form of haters. There's different types of haters. Actually, I'll make a whole list of that because that could be a whole fun topic or podcast episode. But there's different types of haters. So social justice warriors are out to prove a point. They're more righteous than you and I. They can do no wrong. They're there to stick up for the little man. And again, they bring a lower level of emotion to the table, a lower, not as high of a vibrating level, and they cause destruction. The last thing I want you to remember is that dogs don't bark at parked cars. Dogs do not bark at parked cars. They only bark at cars that are going by them or that are moving. People don't like to see other people succeed. The more you succeed, the more haters you're going to get. That's part of the earth that we live on. But know that once you get haters, you're onto something. You're making moves. Your success will expose other people's lack of success, which is going to anger them. You're going to say, who is this person to move up the ladder? Who is this person to start their own business or go after their dreams? Because what it does in their brain is they say, man, how come they did it and I can't? So there's got to be something wrong with you. So then it'll start nitpicking everything. And that's something to keep in mind as well. Haters are going to be there no matter what. The more success you have, the more haters are going to be. Don't get caught up in their emotion. Rise above them and look for any truth within what the haters are saying. And if you really want to cause them pain, you simply ignore them and get better if there is any truth at what they were saying. And that's it. I hope you like this episode about haters. Haters are going to be around forever. They're not going away. And if you like this episode, please share it with a friend. Please leave a positive review on iTunes if you haven't done that yet. If you'd like to get a free copy of the $47 per month Unlocking Your Inner Strength newsletter, go to unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/N as in no, L as in love, NL. And you could download the March issue, which is about 16 pages or so, jam-packed. That's normally mailed out, snail mail to the subscribers, but you can get it for free. You'll have to download it and print it. But that's the price you pay if you're getting it for free. But I hope you like it. And again, I'll be back next week. If you have any topics you'd like me to cover, you can shoot me an email at kyle@newellstrength.com. And thanks for sticking around for the past year. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you enjoyed the show, remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in iTunes.